Number lines can be used to show both positive and negative numbers. Okay, if you look at this number line, this 0 is kind of like the middle of our number line. And numbers that are to the right of that 0 are going to be positive numbers. Numbers to the left of the 0 are going to be negative numbers. Now, number lines also count by a consistent interval. Okay, so when you look at this one space represents the same distance as this space. Now your scales can count by 1s or 2s or 5s or anything like that, but it has to be consistent. So if I start at 0 and I move one spot away to the right, that's a positive 1. If I start at 0 and go 2 spots away to the right, it's positive 2. And I can keep going, numbering this number line, having my interval of 1 between each of these numbers. Now when I go to the left, I'm going to follow the same process, except these numbers are negative. So if I start at 0 and I move one space to the left of 0, that's my negative 1. If I start at 0 and go 2 spaces to the left, that's negative 2. And I can keep counting. Now, number lines don't always have to count by 1s. If you look down here on the bottom, I have an example of a number line that has a different scale. Okay, I still have my positive numbers over here on the right, and I still have my negative numbers over here on the left, but when I look at the distance between my 0 and my first line, it's actually 2 spaces. It's an interval of 2. It's almost like this number line is counting by 2s. So I have 2, and then I have 4, and I can keep this pattern going and continue numbering my number line by counting by 2s. So this spot would be 6, and then 8, and then I'd have 10, and then I'd have 12. Okay. Now, going the other way with my negative numbers, again, it's still going to have that same scale. If I go this way, it's still 2 away. It's just 2 in the negative direction. So negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10. Okay. Number lines don't always have to go horizontally either. Sometimes you can have what we call a vertical number line. Okay? You'll see these a lot with temperatures, thermometers. And again, number lines have a 0. This time, though, the numbers that are above 0 are considered our positive numbers, and our number below 0 are our negative numbers. The scales and the interval rules stay the same. You have to count by a consistent interval, okay, as you go from line to line on your number line. And you can count by 1s or 2s, so your scales can vary. So when I look at this, if I start at 0, one space above 0 is going to be a positive 1. If I go 2 spaces above 0, positive 2. And positive 3, positive 4, positive 5. Now my numbers below 0 are going to represent my negative numbers. So one space below 0 is negative 1. And negative 2, negative 3, 4, negative 5, and negative 6. And again, the scale doesn't always have to count by 1s. This one's a little different here. We need to figure out, if I start at 0 and I go to my next line, it's 5. So this has an interval of 5, or an interval of 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to count by 5s, and then the next one would be 10, 15, 20, 25. And again, all my numbers above 0 are my positive values. And going down below 0, negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, negative 20, negative 25, negative 30. Okay? So remember, with number lines, they have a positive side and a negative side. Positive is either to the right or above 0. Negative is to the left or below 0. And you need to have a consistent scale and interval when you're using a number line.